In today's show, I'm going to share with you a ton of things that I haven't told anybody ever before. Not my clients, my colleagues, my employers, not my family, or even my wife. Why? Because this is full disclosure. It's important to be able to know who you are, to be able to then reset who you need to be in the future. Now, it might have a knock-on effect of making you hate me or dislike me. You might turn around and say, oh, never again. But you might turn around and say, actually, I like this guy a lot more because he's come clean. In fact, I could do this for myself. I could find more success by carrying less baggage with me as I move forward to discover what my true legacy should be. My name is Dave Crane. My mission is to help you to learn to jump and grow wings on the way down. This is of Speak on Stage. Welcome to Speak on Stage with Dave Crane, the podcast where we unpack the art and science of public speaking to help you command the stage with confidence and authority. I'm your host, Dave Crane, and as a seasoned speaker, coach, and entertainer, I've had the privilege of helping thousands of individuals like you to unlock their true potential on stage all around the world. Each week, we'll bring you candid conversations with industry experts, successful speakers, and thought leaders, delving into proven strategies, practical tips, and personal anecdotes to empower you to become a captivating communicator. So whether you're a seasoned pro looking to refine your skills, or a beginner taking your first steps onto the stage, this podcast is your go-to resource for mastering the craft of public speaking. So grab your notepad, open your mind, and get ready to amplify your impact as we embark on this journey together. Welcome to Speak on Stage with Dave Crane. Together, let's jump and grow wings on the way down. So today's session is the beginning of season 4, and it's all about origins. It's all about my origin to share with you some things that have actually driven me, because here's where the big challenge is. When you see my posts and you see the things I do and I go, yeah, I'm just doing this, people turn around and say, oh, well, that's good for you, Dave. Good luck. And we don't realize what goes into it. I'm not saying, hey, Dave's great. I'm just saying that you can do everything. Let me put this in perspective. This is who I am. So when I share that and I go on stage, people go, wow, that's amazing. I've got some amazing events lined up. As of when I'm broadcasting this, I'm going to be speaking and hosting at Davos at the World Economic Forum. And I'm so excited about that. And the knock-on effect is going to have for lots of places, especially for Africa. I'm also going to be hosting at Leap in Saudi. I've got a big event lined up in Malta and many other events across the Middle East and Europe too. US as well as on the cards. Now you may say, oh yeah, Dave, but that's easy. That's what you do. No, that's not easy. And it's not what I do. It's part of who I am. Why is this important? Because you also have an origin story for being who you are. And the world is kind of shoving us in a different direction right now where you've got to be like somebody else. And the problem is, if you act like somebody else, you're only ever going to be a weakened carbon copy of the original. So let's work out who your original is. And that comes down to a skill that most people embrace talking about, but they don't really know what it means. Business storytelling. I'm going to tell you my story because the great speakers know that when they tell people the real truth about who they are, people go, oh, okay, well, if you're happy with that, I'm happy with that as well. Life isn't always great and amazing and so on. It's got lots of challenges, and I want to share that with you. I'm going to be sharing things that I've never told anybody until right now. So make sure that you stay with me, pay attention to everything, and make notes on what you can do to become more transparent with the people around you too. As always, I love to have your thoughts and your feelings. I love you to share where you are, and I'd love you to share this broadcast with people if you think it's of use to them. Similarly, as always, there's an opportunity to join our groups. You can join our many programs that we have all around. We've got a Turbocharge Your Brand 5-day challenge, which is going to be available for you to join. It's completely free. We've got over 400 members in there right now. And I'll give you all the details for doing that. And the QR code and so on will be in the comments section of this.
I have been participating in Dave Crane's Industry Icon program.
Dave Crane is one of the best coaches in the industry.
One of the most knowledgeable speakers I know.
I was so impressed.
He shared the stage with celebrities, athletes, politicians, and royalty.
You've been an inspiration to me since the first time I saw you on LinkedIn, man.
New prospects should know that you are a world-class broadcaster.
He's a true professional. He operates from his heart, and he always speaks his truth.
Where do I begin?
I looked around the room, and all I could see was eyes on you, ears on you. You could have heard a pencil drop.
Dave is someone who is a limitless thinker with a big heart.
And his Industry Icon program helps coach great leaders into becoming great speakers.
It's helped me improve my image online. Everyone I know that's worked with you says the same thing. It's helped me improve my presentation and speaking abilities.
Clarity, clarity, and clarity.
But more importantly, it's helped me to have a crystal clear message in what benefit I can add to my audience.
You know, I'm in TV, and so people assume that, you know, speaking in front of crowds is easy. But I'm on a set, and it's very different to go from a closed set to speaking to a live audience.
Now, because of Dave, I totally get it. I totally get why it's important, and I totally get that I can do it too.
Seems simple enough, doesn't it? Seems easy to be able to put that out. It's not. And I want to share with you in today's episode of Speak on Stage the home truths that will really help you to be able to be who you need to be able to get the successes that you get. Because one of the things is, for everybody who watches this show on a regular basis, you know it's kind of funny. I share with you jokes and so on. I'm happy to do so today. But I hope that not only is it motivational, inspirational for you, but you find some gems in it that allow you to find a new version of you. Why is that so important, especially 2024? Because you might find that your job is under threat by AI if you don't step your game up and start embracing it and raising your own game as a direct result. You might find that as you're getting older, then suddenly the challenge is that you're over 50 and they're trying to get you out the job, get somebody in younger who's not as smart or as experienced, but they just come straight from university or come from a couple of other jobs and they're hungrier than you are. Might be a number of different things. So if that's the case and you're starting to realize that you need to upgrade your game, this is definitely for you. Now, let me show you this. Your brand is what people say when you leave the room. I've said this many times before because branding is so important in everything we do. If you don't have a brand and you don't exist, nobody knows who you are. They're just going to prejudge when you walk in the room and say, oh, well, it must be that because all my experiences tell me that's as good as you are because I've seen other people who only do that and they don't know you. Now, most people settle for that, but I'm telling you now, you shouldn't. But if you don't do that, you got to ask the question, who are you really? Because that version of you, you can enhance and share with the world. Why does it matter? Very simply, because if you don't do it, you'll never find out your true potential because nobody will help you to get there. We can't do this stuff on our own. We have to be there with people who understand and resonate with us, people who get our Wi-Fi code, people who want to travel with us for at least a part of the journey, and that helps us to get there faster. Do it on your own. You don't even know where you're heading most of the time. So key to this is to create trust and credibility. People know you and trust you. And when they go to work out whether you can do what it says on the tin, they can see proof, the credibility that you do deliver everything that you say you're going to do. So why is that relevant? Well, let me share this diagram with you. Have a look at this. So what do people buy? Well, here's the process of the sales or the marketing. People say, I've got a headache. What is my headache? All right, I've got this and that. Who can fix it? And they get a short list of people, usually from Google or from word of mouth, on who they reckon would be the right selection to be able to help them to be able to do this. And then that's a question, are they the best potential fit for me to be able to do this? Once they've worked out whether that is true or not, they then turn around and say, okay, let's get in contact with them. Once they've got in contact, they say, right, is this something that's going to fix my headache? Has it done it? If the answer is yes, then that's it, sold. Now, they'll probably ask a question before that, which is, can I get this cheaper from somebody else? And the answer is usually always yes. But have they got the trust and credibility that you've got? If they go with somebody that's cheaper, are they going to deliver what they promised to deliver? They know you will because the evidence is there. Is it worth paying that extra? Well, 99% of the time it is. It's not a money issue. It's actually a smokescreen to get people to actually drop their prices and so on. You don't need to do that. If your brand is strong enough and you deliver what people have, and it might be with laser focus. Think about this, for instance. We're all pushing to move forward. We're all trying to get stuff to happen. So if I take, let me see if I can find a bit of paper. Stay there a moment. Have a look for my office for a bit of paper. Keep talking amongst yourselves. You see, I've tidied my office now, which makes it very difficult to be able to find. Right, here we go. So, back again. Should have prepared that in advance, Dave. Yeah, I know. Thank you very much for explaining it to me. So, I've got a bit of paper here. I don't know what's written on it, and it probably doesn't matter because you won't get a chance to have a look at it again. So, if you have a spoon and you try to make a breakthrough, you push through and it bends around it. If you're laser focused, like the pointy end of this pen, straight through. See that? You need to have a brand that's laser focused on the results that you are promising to your clients. Such a tidy office, Dave. Yeah, clearly. Didn't go out the window. Don't worry, I'll put it in a bin later. So therefore, when we go back to what we're talking about, it's important for you to really know your brand and to focus on who you are and what you do. Now, Dave Crane, that's me. That's my brand. That's who I talk about. I was watching Friends with my daughter yesterday. And we're watching Friends. If you've never seen the TV show Friends, it's hilarious. 10 seasons of the funniest sitcom probably that's ever been, one of the most popular of all time. And it's written by a guy called David Crane. Not me, he's got more money than me. But it comes up all the time. Now, why should that be important? Because people read that. Like my daughter saw the credits come and goes, David Crane, is that you? I'm like, you know it's not me. That's why it's important that I establish that Dave Crane is my brand, not David Crane. So there's a difference. And if you've never seen Friends before, just Google it and you'll see written by Marta Kaufman and David Crane. There you go. So when you do establish who you are, then you've got proof to be able to show people that you've been doing it for a long time. There's maybe 30 years ago, working with Prince Charles, now King Charles at the Prince's Trust, helping people who are long-term unemployed, ex-offenders or ex-druggies or whatever challenges to be able to get their head back in the game and be able to go off and get a job or at least feel more comfortable in their life. I've been doing this for a very long time. Now, I want to give you full disclosure now. This is something I've never told anybody before. I've hinted at it before, but everybody's got a core wound, and you may not embrace it, you may try and hide it, and there's something about you that you don't want anyone else to know. But that drives you every single day, either getting away from it or finding a way of fixing it or just pretending it's not there. But you find sometimes that when you go through your darkest times, something goes wrong, a little voice inside you tells you that that's the reason why you feel so bad, because of this one experience. So I've been fighting a core wound my entire life. Can you guess what it is? Answers on a postcard. Now we're going to go deep into this, and I'm probably going to find it quite upsetting, but I want to share it with you because I think that for everybody who just turns off and says, right, I've seen enough, I'm not interested, that's fine, and I have no problem with that. But for some of you, you'll go, wow, Dave just shared that. Nobody's ever done this before. So I want to share it with you. My core wound is this. I grew up as a black English kid in 1970s Scotland. And for anybody who's Scottish, then you'll agree with me when you say there is a slight challenge between being English and being Scottish. Anybody who's English to Scotland goes, no, there's nothing there. If you're Scottish, it's different. But in the 70s, it was a challenge. Now, I've got lots of Scottish friends. I'm not having a go at anybody. And I've got many, many, many friends from the 1970s who went to school with us, still my friends now, and I cherish them. I mean, we comment on each other's Facebook and stuff like that. So, but what my deep wound was, I was constantly trying to fit in and prove my worthiness. So I could just be invisible like everybody else, but I stood up like a sore thumb. My accent was wrong. My color was wrong. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying my color is wrong. I'm very proud of who I am right now. And there's a very different me that's standing and sitting in front of you and broadcasting. Whether you're watching the screen now or you're listening to it, I'm not the same guy that grew up. But those things are still the people, the thoughts, the areas, the voices that drove me to be the person I'm right now. So instead of actually feeling worthy, I felt isolated or an outcast for most of my life. Now, why is this a revelation? And I mean, you probably worked it out straight away. The pandemic made me ask a lot of questions that I'd never asked before. And I talk about pandemic quite a lot. And people go, oh, it's all over. No, it's not all over. That has gone. Yeah, thank goodness it's gone. But for many of us, it was a challenge that made us learn a lot of things about ourselves, and our work, and our families, and our friends, and our disposition, and our levels of anxiety and challenges that go on with us. And those are things that we shouldn't just let go. Those are things you should be able to embrace and deal with. Otherwise, you'll carry around like a dead weight throughout your entire life. One of the things that I talk about is the importance of forgiveness. Now, why should that be relevant to a conversation about your origins, Dave? Well, because what happens is when somebody does something really horrible to you, and I know people, I'm very close to many people who are carrying childhood trauma, or something that's happened throughout their life, or a relationship, or a divorce, or whatever. And everything they do shapes it, and you hear it in the words and in their reactions to stuff. You have to be able to forgive people. Don't have to forget, they don't deserve that. But forgive, because if you don't forgive, what happens is every time you think of that situation, or you're reminded about that person, or that experience that you'd had, it makes you feel horrible. And in your core, in your system, it's like drinking poison. And if it's directed at persons like drinking, look, I'm killing myself with poison because of what you did to me. Now, the person might no longer be with us anymore, or the person might not care. And they're going, well, why would you go on about it? I don't care. I don't think about it. Why should you? You can't get it back. You can't change your relationship with them by trying to get them back. If you forgive, it changes the way you resonate with them and people around you who may have fallen out with you during that time. All that forgiving does is not to let them off a hook. It's to stop you feeling poison inside. Does that make sense? So therefore, you can forgive but not forget. They don't deserve that, but you don't deserve to carry it around. Does that make sense about that? I hope that makes sense. So therefore, my deepest wound was that. I carried it around trying to fit in, and I was wondering why I feel isolated and an outcast. And it took a long time to be able to get over it until a couple of years ago. So this is me, baby Dave. And I became my specialist subject was giggling and gurgling and engaging people. It was just natural. I grew up in Leeds and in Stockton in the northeast of England before I moved to Scotland. And my mum would sit on a bus with me, and she said, you'd start giggling and everybody would giggle along with you. They thought you were really cute. Clearly, that doesn't last anymore. But that meant that I actually understood the interest in making people buy in, even before I had a reason to know what that could be used for. So there's me again. Can you guess which one I am in a black and white photo? It's not easy. This is us in Scotland. This wasn't our normal school kit, by the way. This is us taking part in a Brassey Primary School production of Mary Poppins, and there's little me just in the bottom corner. If I point like that here, can you see? There you go. This is in reverse from the way my system's set up, but that's me there. So that's me trying to fit in with everybody else, and I'm friends with probably about a third of the people on that page. Not because I don't like everybody else, but I've chased up making friends with them again, or they found me on Facebook, which I'm very, very grateful for. Okay, and here's me. 40 plus years, it's actually 50 plus years, entertaining on stage. That's that same event, Mary Poppins, me singing a song, or me, I don't know what I was doing there. It's a long time ago. I wasn't Mary Poppins, that I can tell you. I think it was a chimney sweep, or whatever, or it was a Lost Boy during Peter Pan, but one of those shows. And there's me taking part in Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. So why are these important? Because I was taking part in events all the time. I was an entertainer by trade. What I didn't realize at the time was lots of other things were going on. I only really shone when I had a microphone in my hand. The rest of the time, I was the same as everybody else, but not fitting in with everybody else. Does that resonate with you? Now, you might find that this is going straight to your core as well, in which case, thank you for staying with me. I promise you this will be enlightening, and staying with me for this journey will make a whole difference. I love your thoughts and your comments, and anything you say, I will come back to you. Even if this is a replay you're watching, I'll make sure that I do reply back to you, or you can DM me directly with that as well. So I had an inner struggle that was going on, and here's the problem. It's preventing my life happiness, because I was always thinking it's going to get taken away from me. I was always thinking that every single day, when things go well, yeah, but they're going to go back. Now, I'm not saying I was a negative person, but from experience, I learned not to raise my hopes up too much on stuff. It actually went beyond that. I'll explain that in a few moments' time, the damage that was done because of my way of thinking, about being able to try and put myself up to a certain position in my life. So here we go. Nobody saw the truth about me. Nobody could see what was really going on. My parents could, I guess, and my closest friends probably could, but when you're a little kid, nobody really thinks about it. See, one of my best hidden memories was I was in Stockton in the northeast of England, and I was probably about 3 years old, playing with all my friends in the street, and we went round to my neighbour's house to go and play. And the mum let us everybody in to go and play, but closed the gates on me. Wouldn't let me in. Colour. I didn't realise that had affected me until I did some hypnosis and went back to that timer. I was wondering what it is that's holding me back, and that was the core thing. Never believing I could get to the top table because people were always going to say no to me when they realised who I was, and I wasn't invited to join everybody else. So that's something that came with me, that was always stuck inside my head. Despite all the successes I've shown you, I've been carrying it everywhere, always feeling undervalued and bypassed, and I have to go me. And sometimes it doesn't make any difference. And people didn't see it. People don't know that. People might not even know it now. It's not true now, but it still levels a bit that sticks around with everybody. I know when we talk about imposter syndrome, and I talk about imposter syndrome quite a lot, part of that everybody's got. 90% of people have some level of imposter syndrome, but most people aren't able to analyze exactly what causes it, because then when you do, you can do something about fixing it. So there's me. Can you see me in my school photo with some of my dearest friends for my entire life, who I've known for almost 50 years? Mad, isn't it? Yeah, there's me, just third row from the top and second from the left as you look at the photo. That's me, the brown kid. Okay? So with that, the obvious results, that affects millions of people just like me. I'm not talking about just with color. It could be with anybody who's diverse of any kind. It could be female, you could be tall, short, round, not round completely, but a little bit overweight or a little bit thin, or you may have physical or mental issues that become an issue for you and for everybody else around you. These are things that happen all the time. I want to show to you with this show that there are options for you, and you never have to let that be the reason you don't get to the top of your food chain. So what did people see? Well, here's the thing. I was expected to prove myself in careers where I was always going to have a huge disadvantage being successful. So when I was 13 years old, and I was brought into not 13 years, I was probably about 15 years old, I think it was, brought into the career officers. No, it might have been 13. They had a career officer in those days in the ancient Britain, and he'd sit in their office and they'd say, right, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I wasn't really sure, to be honest with you. I wanted to work on radio and TV and be famous because I didn't realize it. I didn't realize it now. That was my way of saying, hi, I'm really good at certain stuff. Can you work with me? And if you're going to stare at me anyway, you might stare at me on the TV and recognize me rather than just go, look what he's trying to do now. My parents always said to me, and my mum tells me a number of times, that they drummed into me, don't do anything that would get you into trouble, because they'll always recognize there's a black kid there and you'll get the blame for it. And a number of times during my childhood, that happened. I got picked up by an organization or sometimes by the police in a group of my friends. I remember one particular time, and this is completely mad. It was a Saturday night out. My Saturdays were always full of girls and drinking and partying, because that's what you do when you're in your early 20s, late teens. And I was walking home in Redcar, my hometown, and we had this long coast road, which you'd walk along maybe 2-3 o'clock in the morning, eating a kebab with my friends. And as we're walking along, it's pretty much a desolate beach area with some houses behind us and the beach in front. And they had a cafeteria that had its alarm going off. Now, we heard the alarm when we left the nightclub, got the kebabs, and we walked past it, the alarms are going off. Walked past it, the alarm's still going. But then the police arrived. What did the police do? They threw me and my friends into the back of a van and took us down to the station for questioning. Now, I'm not knocking police. Police have the hardest job in the world, and I think you're amazing. In most cases, you're doing an incredibly hard job, going out every morning and not knowing whether you're going to see your family again, knowing that you're the bottom line between the society dropping to bits and it being held together. I realize that some people go wrong, but for most policemen, they're really good people. So I ended up going back to the police station and being questioned. Why was I there? What had I done? Had I broken in? Had I done stuff? And of course I hadn't. Now, don't get me wrong, I was drunk, because that's what, if you come out of a nightclub and you're not eating a kebab, something's wrong. And I was in my teens and stuff, late teens. But I said it was nothing going on, and eventually they let us go and went home. And I think it was reported after we'd been there for an hour and a bit that the alarm had been going off for a long time before we arrived. It's quite clear with what, hot kebabs walking from there, something had happened. But my dad got onto them. And he said, look, can we have it in full disclosure? Can we have a full headed paper letter saying why Dave is not involved in this? And I thought it was a bit much, but the reason for doing it was very simply because he wanted to be able to turn around in the future and say it's not the first time that Dave's been picked up. And it wasn't the first time. I remember once running home from my girlfriend's house. And I wasn't running home because I'd done something. My girlfriend, I was about 15, 16. In fact, I was 16, had just finished school. And I used to run home because I was into fitness. So it was a fair old walk, and it was cold, so why not just jog? Trainers, jeans, done. And as I was running, I got stopped by the police, put in the back of a car, and questioned. Why? Because neighbours had seen a black kid running past people's houses, and they thought it was suspicious, so called the police. So I sat in the back of that van, of a car, explained there was nothing going on. I'd been at my girlfriend's house. You can go and call her if you want. I just left. And they let me go. Again, my dad got onto the police. Can you put it in writing, please? That Dave has done nothing. He was just walking or running, and there's no reason for suspicion. And we did it. Record police, thank you very much. So when I go back to talking about this stuff, and talk about, career advantages and places, I was actually very aware that sometimes I do get picked up by people as not being the right sort, or I had to work even harder than everybody to get there. I went away and studied law. And I studied law because I basically wanted my parents off my back. What are you going to do for your career? I'll be a lawyer. Why? Because it stops you complaining that I don't really want to do it. So I went away. And I remember sitting in with, I was elevated to being on the law committee or the law panel, whatever it was. So with there, I was with about 6 or 7 other lawyers and invited in to see one of the judges. I went along in Chelmsford in Essex to meet one of the top judges and top barristers who was going to talk about the relationship we would have with the courts and good luck with our degree and all the rest of it. And one of the things that hit me first of all was in my first year of law, he singled me out. I was the only kid of colour in the room. And he said, I wish you all the very best of your career, but for you, you're going to find it very difficult. I went, well, why? He said, because there's lots of racism in the industry and you will find that people will push you back and you've done nothing wrong. Do you know what I did? I left. I'd had enough. That in my subconscious mind said, why are you trying so hard for this? And I dropped out and I went in a different direction, and the direction led to where we are now, cutting a long story short. But it was really challenging. You see, I was always trying to fit in. I was always wanting to do stuff, and it's really strange how this happens. There's me wanting to be a spaceman. Well, my parents bought me that costume for Christmas one time, and I ended up speaking on stage at NASA. How cool is that? That's me going to school and me going off to university. So there's lots of different stories I could share, but I'm not going to. This is me scoring a goal for Trim Thistle. Yes, that is me in the centre, scoring a goal. I was number 9, centre forward. I wasn't a great footballer in my head like everybody. You want to be able to play for England or whoever it is you wanted to. And I remember, and this is a true story, I remember when my parents moved me from Scotland to England because they wanted me to have a better advantage at school, and I realised I was going for a really hard time and it's hard to fit in, and my grades were reflecting it. And on my very last game before we left, it was a big five-a-side tournament, and the nickname I had, and this is going to freak you out, It wasn't a nickname I encouraged or answered to, but certain people in my team referred to me as Woggy, which is not a great term. So they shouted, Woggy, Woggy, you've got to come over here, Woggy. And I ignored it. I just pretended I was deaf when that happened. And then the team came over and brought me over. And the manager was there. The whole team were there. And they presented me with a trophy. Here you go, Dave. This is from True and Thistle for all the hard work that you did for us to be able to be in our team for like 4 years or 5 years. We wish you all the very best of luck. And it was a beautiful moment. But it was kind of bittersweet, because as much as it was nice to see that they admired me and bought me a trophy and wished me luck as I went, all I wanted was just to be treated the same as everybody else. Make sense? Okay. So for me, leaving my uncomfortable comfort zone was a major part of what I had to learn. In order to be successful, I'd have to stop trying to fit in with everybody else. I had to realize that not fitting in was actually my comfort zone. So what changed? I decided to embrace the talents that I had and entertain and stop wasting time at things that I sucked at doing. I was a lousy lawyer, but a great journalist. That only came later on when I wanted to work in radio. Would I have been a great lawyer or barrister? Yes, I would have been very good at it, but at the time it wasn't my skill sets. And after that discussion with a barrister, it kind of put me off the whole thing. Now, here's something that I found out later on, chatting to my mum recently. My dad passed away about 2 years ago through COVID. And she said that I won a competition in Scotland, Search for a Star. It was like, Britain's Got Talent or whatever. It was like a nationwide around Scotland competition. We played at different theatres and judges voted, and we were on tour. There's a guy called Archie McCulloch, who was a big TV star at the time, who was hosting it, and he was a really, really nice guy. And so I came second, actually, in that. But it was all adults and kids and everybody in together. I came second, and it was a great experience to sing on all these different stages, and it was a great experience to get appreciated, and there's cash involved, which I shared with my family, not by choice, because your mum told you to, as you do. But the whole experience was enough for my dad, I didn't realize this, to say we're not going to put him in the entertainment industry. Strange doing what I do now. My dad made a point of saying to my mum, we're not going to drag him through the entertainment industry. It's too cutthroat, it's too bitchy, and it's not right for a child to have to go through this. So they stopped. I didn't realize this. I only found out a couple of months ago. My mum said to me that my dad had decided this, because I spent my entire life trying to find the entertainment side. And I didn't realize that my mum and dad had taken their foot off the gas. Now, they'd always supported me, always come to my events, and always said, you're doing great. Always, without fail. Even if I didn't particularly like it, my hypno shows or whatever it was, they always came along, and they liked them a lot, but they always supported me. But I didn't realize they hadn't pushed me. They wanted me to go into something else. So when I said radio and TV, that would have been at the heart, now think about it just really makes sense, of them discouraging me from being in radio and TV and getting a job for being a lawyer. Wow. There you go, you learn something new about yourself as you go. So I embraced my talents as an entertainer and stopped doing things I wasn't very good at. I enjoyed having fun with everybody. That's me. As you can work, I had a flat top hairstyle at the time. With my dearest friends in the rugby team. We had a blast as a rugby team doing our own stuff. We were quite a good team at the time, actually. If you recognize yourself in that picture, I apologize for broadcasting and sharing this with the entire world. You know who you are, and I salute you. And whatever happened in the rugby team stays in the rugby team. But anyway, the accidental incident that had me walk away from everything is just about to be shared with you now. What was it? Well, I discovered my true voice when I dropped out of university. I was selling insurance, and I was working in a clothes shop to make money. I'd started working in hospital radio, which is free. And one of the things that you might not know, and it doesn't matter whether you do or not, well, I realized to get into radio, I'd have to go and do hospital radio. Hospital radio, the one I wanted to go to, was about an hour and a half's walk along a highway, which was pitch dark at night and in the morning. And it was cold weather. But on a weekend, I had 2 weekend shows, a Saturday and a Sunday. And so I set off, and it was hospital radio, so nobody's really listening. We're all lying in beds. But I got the chance to be a radio person. So I had a 1 hour show, I think it was, maybe 2 hours, probably 1 hour show. And I had to get up for about 4:30, walk in the cold, carrying my record cases out to this hospital, then do the show to nobody, and then pack up and come back by about 7 o'clock in order to go to my job in a clothes shop. And I did it on Saturdays and Sundays. And you've got to be really dedicated to do it. I was DJing at the time in a big bar called the Army and Navy in Chelmsford in Essex. I don't know if it's still there. And I was selling insurance to try and get a proper suit job, but I wasn't very good at it. I didn't particularly enjoy it. It's horrible. Didn't like it. But no knocking in financial consultants to do it now. Good luck to you. I know it's a difficult job. So anyway, the event that changed everything was I was DJing in this place and getting a really hard time because the manager was all right, as managers are in bars and clubs, but his wife hated me. And whenever I was DJing or when I was talking, she'd turn my microphone right down so people couldn't hear me in the middle of me speaking and just look at me like that. Sweetheart. But they had a family fun day. And this family fun day was a weekend plan to just open it up and have lots of games and competitions that everyone who went to the pub could bring their families and enjoy. And so I was hosting it, or co-hosting it with a friend of mine called Gus, who's another DJ, and he was older than me. He was a bit of a bully, to be honest with you. He was a couple of years older. He'd got a lot more experience. He'd been on holiday resorts, so he'd learned to be a very good MC and compere. And we were kind of like friends. He was like older and he was almost like a mentor, but he did his own thing first. And then if there was anything left, I could have it. Certainly didn't protect me with the politics that was going on inside the bar. But aside from that, we were quite good friends. And so we were hosting this event and I got a chance to hold a microphone and I realized I was really good at doing it. I was really good at being able to work the audience and play games and do stuff. And for the first time, I held on a microphone for about 3 hours and worked games and all sorts. Somebody watched me do it and went, wow. And it fell into place. This is what I should be doing. So what's a big difference that it made? Well, I was a DJ for a long time. And I realized that I was a good DJ. I wanted to get on the radio and do all the stuff that I grew up listening to Radio 1 in the UK and be like one of those Radio 1 DJs. But then I realized that maybe I needed to have more skills than what was being given to me because I was competing against people who are doing the same kind of thing as me. So the last person I expected turned out the best person I could have hoped for. That sounds cryptic. Well, let me explain to you. Remember I mentioned this guy Gus, and I've not been in contact with him since then. Gus, if you're out there, my love, as you can see, that incredible night when he persuaded me to do something, I ran with it, and it's been that night changed everything. And you may have a time that changed your life as well. Let me explain what that was. So we'd done that family fun day. I'd got a taste for holding a microphone, not just playing tunes. Anyone could do that, but holding a microphone and talking. But I was frustrated because Maureen didn't like me. She kept switching off the microphone, making it difficult for me to embrace my skills. But Gus said to me, you know what, Dave, you shouldn't be here anymore. He said, you're not a DJ, you're an entertainer. I went, what? He said, you're an entertainer. I said, no, I'm a DJ. You know, this is what I do. He said, no, but you don't know that because you're in the wrong place. You'll never find out here who you truly need to be. And what he did was he got in contact with Warner Holidays. And he said, I used to work there. I used to be a entertainment manager or MC or whatever it was. And he said, I've been in contact with them. I'll book you in to go and have a audition to become a full-time team star, I think it was called at the time. Warner Holidays were green coats, and for anybody who knows British holiday camps and so on, Heidi High and Butlins and so on. These holiday camps were created in the 1960s and 50s and 60s because the working class after the Second World War needed a place to go from the factories to just actually enjoy a holiday. They couldn't go abroad. It wasn't even a thing going abroad. Nobody had the money. So they created these special holiday resorts where for a very cheap amount of money you could go there, get food covered for the investment fee of whatever you paid. Your family would be there and there'd be entertainment for you for 1 week or 2 weeks when you go home. So that was your 2-week holiday, would be in these holiday resorts. Of course, people had to entertain them. And so that's where the legacy of a lot of the big entertainers on British television came from, that background of holiday camps. And so Gus had said to me, go to the holiday camp. I've booked you in to have an audition. Then it was the night before my audition. Of course, I got cold feet. Why? I had a girlfriend, I had friends. I'd been in Chelmsford for 4 years. I'd gone into university, dropped out, but I'd started creating a life. I had people who were local in Chelmsford, they're some of my dearest friends. And Steve Woodley, if you're still out there, or Gav Embury, if you're still, or Neil, if you're still up, Mark, contact me. I'd love to know where you are. Tried to look you up, but couldn't. So I didn't want to leave because these are my dearest friends. And I thought, well, maybe I'll do what everyone else does. I'll just get a job in London and just commute from Chelmsford because I got on with everybody. And he sat there after I'd finished DJing from 1 o'clock at night up until about 5 o'clock the next morning. 4 hours drinking tea and saying, you should go, you should go, you should go. If you don't like it, you don't have to take it, but you need to go. And eventually, just because of his persistence and his nagging me, I said, okay, I'll do it. And I went. So I went away to the audition. I had to sing. I don't think I had to DJ, just got interviewed about my personality, and that was it. Anyway, a week later, I got a message from Gus saying he'd been in contact and checked up on it and they loved me and they want to offer me a place to go. I went, okay. And I got a letter offering me the job, and the money was rubbish. I'll tell you what it was. In those days, it was about £60 a week. Bearing in mind, as a DJ in those days, I'd probably pick up about £70 a night. In those days, it's going back 8,000 years ago. But food and accommodation and a chance to learn, so I went. I said goodbye to everything, put my stuff in storage and went away to the holiday camps. And it changed my life. Everything made a huge difference because he realized that I should do that. He realized that I was destined for more. And that's what I tell people when I work with them on my Industry Icon course, on my program, on my Game Changers, and my Turbocharge Your Career 5-day challenges. I'm not saying it by accident. I'm saying it because I've been through this experience. I've been nagged by somebody to see how much potential I left on the table. That mentor stepped up for me. And here's the weird thing. Once I'd gone away to the holiday resorts, I came back shortly after during the first break, and I saw him again and caught up with him and said, yeah, it was great, fantastic. And then I never saw him again after that. So Gus, it's been, 40 years? So if you're still around, thank you. Anybody still knows Gus, then I don't know his surname, it's just DJ Gus, then thank you so much. So I went away. And this is me becoming a full-time entertainer. And many of the people there are still big stars. There's Sean Rollo. In fact, I'll make myself smaller here. The guy dressed as a clown is Sean Rollo Rollinson, who was the Cornish clown. He was the most talented kids entertainer I'd ever seen in my entire life and still is. And he's doing very well in the UK. The guy with the glasses on, it was his car. The guy with glasses on, not the dark glasses at the back, that's Neil Wheatley, who's a top entertainer and comedian, doing Panto, just finished it as we speak. Really, really cool and talented guy. Mark Goddard, who's Britain's best Elvis, with his hand up next to me. Can you see which one I am? What do you mean you can't see me? Look, that's me with my arms up in the air like that. Yeah, sticking my tongue out for no real reason, apart from probably shouldn't have. So next to me is Mark Goddard. He became my best friend during that time, and we're still in contact now. Really, really talented guy. Lives in the UK. And the rest of the people are there. Lisa and Chaz. We did a Chaz and Dave show, and that's another story. And Neil's girlfriend, can't remember what her name was, and little Debbie and Gail in that. That's everybody there. And so I just wanted to say hi to them because I love them all dearly. And so it was a really hard season because what we've done at this particular place is called Warner's Puck Pool. And Puck Pool and St. Clair were together. This is a story for another time. And they made us a super centre. And all the people went to Puck Pool. All the people went to St. Clair, hated each other because they used to be rival venues. They made them one super centre. So everybody arrived. When we hate this idea, we want to hate them. And so they hated us. And we're all first-year entertainers. So it was a really tough year. But I went through that and I experienced it. And it was an amazing time. Then I did another season. And then I went off to study to become a radio journalist. And that's me working as a freelancer for BBC Radio Cleveland with Tony Walker, I think it was. Tony Walker? Anyway, I can Google him. We were best friends 8,000 years ago, holding a Radio 1 roadshow, or BBC Cleveland roadshow. Yes, look at my legs, or even better, don't. And I went on to take part in Blind Date, and that's myself and Naz. Not Naz. Mass, that's it, Mass. Gorgeous girl who hated me. And there's stories about Blind Date I could tell you, but I'm not going to. And there's Cilla Black. You can look it up, it's online. In fact, I was going to share the video for Christmas, but I won't do. Yeah, there's a lot of stories in there I really can't share with you. But I can tell you that the people who I met were amazing, and so on. Okay, so here's the thing. When I went to the BBC, I said, right, look, I'm really good at doing this. Look at this. I just won Blind Date. That's how talented I am. The Christmas show, 14 million people watched it. And they watched the replay as well, which means over 20 million people watched it. The big boss turned around and said, that's great. We're going to sack you. I went, why? And he said, because clearly your talents don't lie in here. You should be elsewhere. Now that sounds like he's going, oh, wow, yeah, you know what? You're better suited to entertainment. He wasn't. He just wanted rid of me. Why? Well, you can answer that yourself. Is it because I wasn't a good journalist? No, I'd been a freelance journalist there for 3 years, and I'd won commendations from head of broadcasting for my piece on hidden homelessness. I hate to say it was a color thing, but it was a color thing. So therefore, the reason that that made an impact is I realized that I had to make a change. What was the change I made? I said, I've had enough. I went and applied for lots of different jobs on TV shows, didn't get them. I went, you know what, forget this. I didn't say forget this, I said ruder words than that. And I jumped on a plane and came to Dubai, and the rest is history. Went on to do some incredible things in Dubai, and I got everything I ever wanted. Worked with all the bigger stars. I won't show you videos. You've seen all this stuff, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, Dave, well done, ha, ha, ha. Okay. In fact, very quickly, this is what happened when I left.
Ladies and gentlemen, I've hosted over 1,000 events, and there's nothing more exciting or nerve-wracking than getting to introduce one of the best in the business. He's an award-winning international motivational speaker and coach. He's worked with celebrities like James Brown and Bruce Willis.
And I'm Jack Canfield. And I'm Brian Tracy.
And I'm John Gray.
I'm Jared Robin.
And I'm Perry Marshall.
Hi, and I'm George Regan.
To audiences of over 1 billion people. He's sharing how to become unstoppable in business. It's my honor to introduce to you Dave Crane.
So I'm showing you that video. I wasn't even going to show it to you, but it's important to be able to say that every single thing that I am now and the gigs I've got lined up, big gigs in Malta, I'm speaking at Leap in Saudi, the world's biggest IT event. And I'm also at the World Economic Forum in Davos in a couple of weeks' time. I've got tons of stuff. All that is traceable back to the crappy time as a kid and the need to try and fit in that core wound I was carrying around. If anything had changed and been less painful, I would never have made the change to get on a plane and get to Dubai and do what I did. In fact, if anything had been less painful, I'd never have gone to the holiday resorts to be an entertainer. I'd be a local DJ working in insurance, maybe even now, in Essex. Every single thing that happened pushed me that little bit more to become who I am. And that's why it's important to understand what your core wound is. Know your origin story, but if you leave it, you won't end up finding out who you can truly be. You end up thinking you're frustrated for good reasons. And that's why I spend my time now. Everything I do is to help you to get onto your own top table. I'm not looking to get on top tables now. I'm connected to lots of really powerful people, millionaires, billionaires, successful business people in every single industry. I meet them, I speak at their gigs, but I'm not looking for anything. I'm not looking for a job in their company. I'm looking to host their events or speak or train them or teach them how to do branding or get them to a level where they get over imposter syndrome so they get to grow themselves. Most of the clients I work with, when I do one-to-one mentoring and we do the Industry Icon program, end up making 6 or 7 figures on top of what already they were making before. So if they're successful before with a successful business, now they're even more successful and they go straight to the top of the food chain. That's what I do now. I don't always work with those people. I work with everybody who's interested on raising their game. That's why I've got a free WhatsApp group you can join, and the details are in the comment section. So I help you in your own industry to get onto your own top table. And so now, years later, my international career experiences have allowed me to help people, as I've mentioned to you there, and get you to the top table. This is me on stage opening up for Kanye West at Media City. About 15, 20,000 people come along to see, not to see me, came to see Kanye, but or Ye, as it's called now. But my job is to host it as a local celebrity. That's me hosting the party for actually 20 years. Emirates Airline Dubai Rugby Sevens, and it helped me broadcast over the year to maybe over 20 years of about 200 million people footprint watching a TV show. That's well over 1 billion people over the years that will have seen me do my stuff. Opening Planet Hollywood with Bruce Willis and Sylvester Stallone, Amitabh Bachchan, lots of big stars like that. Interviewing James Brown when he came to play on stage. In fact, I had the honor of bringing him on stage, which is an amazing experience as well, along with who else was on as well? The Supremes and the Temptations as well. What a lineup, oh my goodness, in Dubai. And yes, I was very young in those days. Me doing a first stage hypnosis show in the UAE. I learned to do it in Vegas, and I've taken it all around the world. In fact, I've started doing them on the QE2 as well. And that's me winning an award as the best motivational speaker in the Middle East and North Africa region. So all this stuff is down to one thing: understanding your origin and getting over yourself and realizing that you can jump and grow wings on the way down. All the things I've done are not me saying, look at me, I'm great, I'm Dave. This is me saying, I'm not that special. But I did make a few decisions, which is maybe it's not the environment. Maybe it's me. Maybe I should drive myself to a point where I find myself comfortable in who I am and what I do. And the pandemic allowed me to realize that I was on a trajectory to not where I wanted to be, but still to where other people wanted me to be. So I decided to take charge of that and change all this. And this is an open invitation to you to join me. So now you know the real me. This is me. This is Dave Crane. You know what's driven me. You know my history. And if you've lasted this long with me, I hope that you've enjoyed the experience of it. Because this is 2024. That'll be 2025. And beyond. Your new journey starts right now. And if you don't do something with it, then somebody else will. But I promise you, I will be there for you when you're ready to join me. Just don't leave it too long. If you have any questions, then feel free to ask me directly. If you want to join my programs and so on, then feel free to contact me directly. Go to speakonstage.com and have a look at the many programs I've got available for you there. We will get you there. I mentor people like you who are decision makers to jump and grow wings on the way down. That's what I do. This show is dedicated to inspire you to be able to do that. That's at Google HQ in Dubai, mentoring speakers in stagecraft. And the Industry Icon program, which I put together to be able to help you to raise your game. In fact, if you don't know anything about the Industry Icon program, take a quick look. It will be on my website. And ask yourself these questions. First question. Which experience created you? You know my experiences, and that one night that Gus said to me, you must go, was the one night that changed my life. I became the best entertainer in my industry. Not in my industry, that's a terrible thing to say. I'm not the best entertainer in my industry. I found my niche really well, and I became better than most of the people I was competing against on the way up until now. Next question is, which lesson grew from the pain that you carried your entire life? Now you're aware of it and you've had a look at it, you're working out what it is. What experience created that pain and created you? And what could you learn from that will make your life different? Next question is this. What will you do differently in 2024 than you've done your entire life now that you know this? You don't have to tell anybody about it. You can always tell me. I ain't going to laugh. Why? I've shared with you stuff I haven't shared with anybody else. Full transparency. I did promise I'd do this, and I hope that you understood that I've actually done that. So, 10 conclusions I'll share with you before I finish today's show, and I apologize for it being long, but I'm not going to apologize for the stuff I shared with you, because I think if you've dropped out in the middle of this, you know, let's come back and join it again. If not, check out my other podcast, by the way. Make sure you subscribe to it on Speak on Stage. So, 10 conclusions about life. First one is this. I'll go big screen for this. Nobody can save you but yourself, so why are you still waiting to be rescued? Number 2, the system is designed to get you through school, off to university, into a job, but in order to get there, you have to become invisible and weak and unprotected. You don't have to stay like that. The system is meant to make you fit in with everybody else. Comfort zones, number 3. Comfort zones break down your immunity to survive life's toughest challenges. If you stay inside your comfort zone, you'll never know how good you really could be. Number 4, you might be able to do it alone, like I have, but it's less fun and it takes a much longer time. Don't be like that. That's why I create these global communities for you to come and join us. Whether you're part of our membership group, The Game Changers, you work with me directly as an industry icon on our Thought Leader Accelerator, or maybe you want to join our Turbocharge Your Career 5-day challenge for free and just start at your own pace. You don't have to be alone for any of this. Number 5, every one of us won our first race. Let me put some perspective. Do you know how babies get born? Do you know about the birds and the bees and all that other stuff? Well, it all started off with 1 million sperm inside daddy, which headed... It's so graphic. If you're having your dinner, then I'm not going to try and put you off. But let's put this in perspective. Every one of us now has already won our first race, beating 1 million other sperms to fertilize the egg. That's why you're here. Why then, with that evidence, would you stop competing for success? You take your foot off the gas because it's more difficult? You've already won. It's already proof. You're here. Now it's time to do something even bigger and better. Number 6, you'll probably live to the age of 100. Your kids may live to 120, and newborns today, there's a very good chance science is going to keep them till about 150 years old. So if you're in retirement age or heading towards retirement, you're wrong. If you're 50, 60, 70, 80 now, you're going to go on to about 100. Are you ready now to embrace and become a rock star in what you do? Because if you retire, you're still going to be around. The money will run out, so you might as well embrace how good you are and do something really special with it. Number 7, if you could write a story with you in it, why would you settle for average so often for the main character? Yeah, it was okay. Just watch telly, went to sleep. What did you do? Well, nothing. I kept my head down. The system was set up to make you do that. Number 8, once you die, life after death, in my opinion, and other people's opinions are equally valid, but probably not true in my opinion, but there you go. How your story affects other people is your life after death. The impact you make on other people and what happens to them in their lives is what truly matters. When we're gone, we're gone. But once you die, it's what you did that makes a difference. Number 9, if you're feeling sad, insignificant, or ignored, channel it. It's good stuff. It helps you build your legacy when you use it effectively. And the final thing is, if your friends don't get you, get new friends. Not everybody's going to understand. And as you change and you're resonating with different sorts of people, and old people around you don't get it. I mean old people. I mean older friends want you to be exactly as you've always been. Why would you change that? Why would you alter? Everything's working fine. It might be for them. They want you to stay. But sometimes when you grow and you get new ideas and inspirations, they're not the right people for you. You don't have to dump them, but you do have to get new friends. Ones that understand, ones that encourage you, ones that believe in you. And I believe in you. Thank you for your time. I did promise to share with you everything. Full disclosure, that's me. So now when I share with you who I am and what I do, I'm not some superhero or some great speaker or look at Dave, he's doing all this amazing stuff. That's what created me, and it could create you as easily. I will help you to fast track to where you want to be. Subscribe to my podcast. Follow me on social. Ask me questions and reach out directly. I've got programs and things going on all the time. Read my new book that's coming out, The Thought Leader's Playbook. All these are setting little breadcrumbs and clues to how you can find your own story and turn it into something really special. I'm no different to you. You have everything you need. You are the best that you could possibly be. And I can't wait to see what you're going to do next. Meanwhile, I'll help you to jump and grow wings on the way down as you find your way to fly. My name's Dave Crane. This is season 4, episode 1. I can't wait to start the next one. Make sure you're there with me. Have an amazing day, an amazing 2024. And remember, this is just the beginning. Wishing you all the very best. Take care. Thank you for tuning into another insightful episode of Speak on Stage with Dave Crane. We hope you found today's conversation inspiring and packed with valuable insights to help you to amplify your presence on stage too. And if you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to the podcast on your favorite platform and leave us a review. Your feedback helps us improve and reach more aspiring speakers just like yourself. Remember, the stage is your platform to shine, and with the right tools and mindset, you can captivate any audience anywhere. So keep honing your craft, refining your message, and never shy away from the spotlight. Stay tuned for our next episode, where we'll dive even deeper into the world of public speaking and performance. Until then, keep speaking, keep shining, and keep making an impact. This is Dave Crane signing off. See you next time on Speak on Stage.